Hey there, and thank you for joining again the No Grow Scale podcast. I'm Laura Johns, founder and CEO of the Business Growers, and we talk all things MSP, IT growth here on the No Grow Scale podcast. I'm really excited to have kind of a unique guest. What you guys are doing at Open Security is really cool, and I'm excited to hear about it. But Kyle Hillman, the CRO at Open Security. So Kyle, thank you for joining today. Early on a Monday morning, I might add, although no one would know that. First thing Monday morning, we're just knocking out podcasts. So thank you for coming. Do you mind telling us just a little bit about you, your background, and how you landed at Open Security?
Sure. Yeah. Laura, first, thanks for having me. And there is no better way to start Monday than having a
Right.
podcast.
That's
Why not
great.
kick it off with a challenge? So,
That's
yeah.
fun.
So, I'm the CRO at Open Security. We are an offensive cybersecurity firm. What we specialize in is threat-centric approach to cybersecurity. What we do is we help our clients align technical risk with like business outcomes, and we really
Mhm.
translate the difference there. And I came on board about 4 years ago. I came in the vice president of sales. Open Security was looking out to build out their go-to-market function, specifically on the sales end. And then just through different iterations and evolutions, I moved up to CRO, and now I focus on the whole go-to-market engine. I will caveat we are a small business, so I also spend a lot of time in the finance side of the house. So I technically have two job functions, which I'm sure being a
Congratulations.
business owner yourself,
All
you
right.
get
Don't
that,
we all?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got referred to Open Security like most jobs I find through a personal network. And Michael,
Mhm.
again, was looking out to build out a sales team, and that's where we ended up today.
Isn't that cool how that happens? I think my dad has always said, if you're good at what you do, you really only have to have your resume ready one time. And
Yeah,
then, the rest of it just falls into place. And it sounds like that's kind of what happened with you. So that's awesome. And I think
100%.
it's important to note, you didn't say this, but I think it's important to note the veteran emphasis on the business. Do you mind just talking about that a little
Sure.
bit? I think that's a
Yeah.
cool and very thing. So
Yeah, and for the record, I am not a veteran. My connection to veteran is I was born in Fort Bragg. My dad was a 32-year Army veteran, so I've kind of grew up in that environment.
yeah,
A dad with a drill sergeant, you get used to very disciplined working
exactly.
environments. So,
I'm sure it
yeah,
benefits you in business for sure.
for sure. Open Security, the founders it's a veteran operated business. Our one founder, Michael, was Marine Corps. I don't want to butcher this. I don't know the specifics. I think he was Intel. And then Matthew Toussaint, who is our technical founder, he was Air Force Academy and Cybercom. And then he did some government work after that. And then they've really taken those military roots and they've implemented them into the
Yeah.
business. And then another leader on our team, Josh, who was also Air Force Cybercom. And I think he did some time at the NSA, if I remember correctly. And Josh and Matt knew each other when they were in the Air Force Academy. And, so our leadership core, about 80% of our leadership team is
That's
former
awesome.
military.
And I know you weren't prepared for that question. I didn't put it on the question list. I just think
It's
that's
okay.
really important
Yeah.
for me as a business owner, just the
Yep.
opportunity to do business with an organization like that means a lot. So that's awesome. So what
Yeah.
is as CRO? I know we just talked about the ebb and flow of different responsibilities, but what does a typical day look like for you at Open Security? Do you mind touching on that a little bit?
Sure. I would say it varies a lot just given the nature of the business. When you're growing a business, it's really difficult to find individuals that can wear a lot of different
Mhm.
hats. And, because we're a small business, we do have to put on many different hats throughout the day. So there are days where I'm actively involved closing deals with clients. There are days where I'm actively building go to market strategy and analyzing revenue numbers and account penetration numbers and all the other things that you would do on the data side. And then there are also days where I'm just crunching spreadsheets in the background, running cash flow models to ensure if we're making an investment here, we can then, pay the bills 6 months down the road. I would say I definitely really wake up to just try to find and meet the needs of the business. I think right now a lot of my focus is on the revenue side, right? We just made a significant investment in your team to come over and help us build more lead gen, so just being actively involved in that. So I would say 80% of my time right now is focused on the sales side of
Yeah.
the house.
Awesome. So do you mind kind of backing into like how the business got its start? You said you've been there 4 years or about 4 years. So
Sure.
just the
Yeah.
origin story, I guess, and the vision behind even starting the business to begin with, because this is a very unique space that we're in. And so I think that it's worth telling the origin story and how you guys got your start.
Yeah, I would love to. So we all look at it as like Open Security 1.0 and Open Security 2.0. So Open Security 1.0 started in Michael and Matt, the two founders. They just simply what they did was they wanted to make cybersecurity accessible to everyone. And it was a focus on small business. And they took the skill sets they learned in the military and they translated that into really the business sector. And over the past, when we came on board, we look at it as Open Security 2.0. We realized that it's not just about making cybersecurity accessible, it's about making companies more cyber resilient. And that's kind of our next evolution. So we have a more dedicated focus on, we realize through our skill sets and our time, whether it's in sales, marketing, engineering, that we're actually really good at servicing very large clients. So we service clients up in the Mag 7 all the way down to state and local banking. And that's really been the evolution of going from small business and subcontracting work to Open Security 2.0, which is making companies more cyber resilient in the large business sector that we focus in. And a part of that evolution came from really our sales process. So when I joined the firm, a lot of the business came from subcontracting. So what would
Mhm,
happen is a large vendor would go out and they would secure a contract and they would need elite hackers to come in and fulfill the work. And that's where they would bring on open security. The
mhm,
concern is the firm was just waiting for business to come to them.
mhm,
And Michael and the founding team, they wanted to take more control and take a more proactive approach over building their sales pipeline and actually getting and generating revenue. So that's
mhm.
where, I came in and Ryan Head came with us. So, Ryan
Right.
and I are close friends outside of work, and we really built a full sales team. And now about 90% of our business is net new business. That does include returning clients, partnerships. So
Mhm,
that 2.0 evolution is not just the way that we service clients and the way that we brand ourselves. It's also the way that we go and we attack the market. And
mhm.
that's been a good success over the past 4
That's
years.
awesome. And it sounds like, to me, it's definitely more like what, as a business owner, what we should be thinking out about the 2.0 version is really a much more proactive
Yep.
approach to how to really structure security in your business, regardless
Hmm.
of size. But for sure, for those enterprise that don't have a choice, we see those are the
Yeah.
ones that make the news, right? Those are
Yep.
the ones that when something bad happens, everyone knows about it. So we want to make sure we're
It's
keeping them
if
protected.
it's actually an interesting point that you bring up. Like we've really, now that you mention it, we've really leaned into that
Yeah.
proactive approach. What you'll find is that it's company if give me
Right.
1 second. It's when
Yeah.
I do apologize. Let me just kill my VPN real quick. It's not a matter of if,
Mhm.
but when companies get hacked. So you have to be extremely proactive and constantly monitoring and testing and hardening your security system. So we really leaned into the proactive approach of security and we really streamlined that
Yeah.
into the
Love
sales
that.
process.
So let's talk about what security challenges businesses need and a lot of people who are
Sure.
listening are either in the MSP, IT, telecom space, or and potentially some cybersecurity space. So I want to understand. A lot of people might know, like, okay, I understand security challenges for businesses because we're all self-proclaimed experts, right? But maybe even just some of the things that you're helping your customers combat right now that maybe whether they're lesser known or widely known. Tell us a little bit about that. What are some of those challenges you're seeing you guys helping with?
Sure. And I would say that I'm also not the one to be like, I'm not the
Deeply
expert
technical,
elite
right?
hacker on the
You
team.
have
Again,
those,
I'm from
right?
the
We'll do,
sales
we'll do
side.
another interview with.
So yeah, we have the smart people that go do that stuff. And I would say our team is probably one of the best. Matt and Josh and Bryce and the
Sure.
guys who have built the team have done a really, really strong job. So it's pretty incredible to work with such brilliant individuals. Regarding the what we see is we break it down into like three buckets. We see like a human disconnect. People can actually be your biggest weakness because, in the age of AI, which is interesting, you have IBM just released a report. It used to take like a
Mhm.
malicious actor, 16 hours to build a social engineering campaign. Now they can do that in 5 minutes. So people are just getting bombarded with faulty phishing emails, and that's still one of the most effective ways for a network to be breached. You click on a
Mhm.
link that you shouldn't, you give payment information that you shouldn't. So that's something that we see. The next is like the cost calculation is that when you're dealing with security teams, they're still very underfunded. So and it makes sense because when you're a CEO and you're charged with
Mhm.
growth and EBITDA growth, would you rather invest money into protecting your business or
Right.
growing your top and bottom line? Well, the answer is obvious. So there is a disconnect there, and then just an over
Mm.
reliance on tools. Cybersecurity sales teams are very good, and they're very good at picking problems. And there is just massive
Right.
tool bloat in the industry, and you could have tools here and tools there, and it still may not
Right.
see what you need it to see. So, what we focus on with our clients is we help them figure out the human side of the business. We work with the internal security team so that they can help get the budget they need to secure their networks. And we also take a manual approach to testing to see if all their attack surface is accurately covered with
Mm.
the
And
tools that they have in
probably help
place.
them with some
Um,
tool elimination if there's there's I mean, I know not even in
correct.
cybersecurity, but
Yeah.
just as a business owner, sometimes I'm like, I bet half the things that we're doing overlap or, different tools can do multiple things. So I think that's huge too right there is how much are we spending on things and is it even really protecting us the way we think it is?
It's a great point. Yeah, cybersecurity
Right.
tools aren't cheap, and the interesting part is you could walk into a SOC and you could see they have 10 tools they're paying for that half the time
Right.
aren't turned
You're
on, they're not
subscribing
configured correctly,
to.
and yeah, exactly. So we just want to help them save that money and
That's
reallocate
great.
that
That's
budget
great.
elsewhere.
So the next 3 to 5 years for you guys at Open Security for the cybersecurity landscape altogether, what are you seeing? What are you expecting? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, we see rapid
Yeah.
growth, right? We live in a tech world, and we will continue to work in a tech world, and especially with the advancement of AI. The It still remains to be seen
I was
what
going to
AI is
say, how
actually
is that
going to do.
affecting your
No one's
world?
actually knows
Yeah.
what's going to happen. Yeah, I've studied a lot, and I read a report from an analyst, and he talked about when the iPhone was released, people thought that you might do a little bit of computing on your iPhone, you may take some pictures, you may scroll the internet, but the PC would still be the major part of
Mm.
your workflow. What people weren't thinking about was the things that came from the iPhone, the ability to be an influencer on TikTok
Right.
and Instagram, the ability to do like all these different things from your phone. It was a completely new paradigm shift. And the analyst was saying when you look at new technology, it's typically looked at from what it's going to change now, but you never really know like the new paradigm that's going to come from that.
Mm.
So no one really knows. So for us, what we try to look at is like, how are the attackers using the tools to better affect the networks? So, like a good example is there's a lot of hiring threats these days. So companies will come on. Well, so malicious actors or teams from
Right.
adversarial nations will provide deep fakes or fake resumes or fake LinkedIn profiles, and they'll actually get hired into a large company and
Right.
they'll attack from the inside. So we actually get hired to come on and actually simulate those bad experiences. So we see an increase of that. And that's possible with AI because of the deep fakes, the ability to build resumes, and you can do that very, very quickly. So we see the industry growing. We see funding. It's still slightly underfunded. So we see more funding coming into the space. And I personally think we're on the tip of a rocket ship because we have good market economics behind us to really grow this industry I mean, it's going to be it'll probably reach $1 trillion in the next
Wow.
10 or 15 years. It's,
Yeah.
it's going to happen.
Well, I'm glad
So
that we have people like you on the cutting edge of it. So people thinking about it for us, right? So that's
I
right.
just help to sell it.
Well, I was
You
going to
got the
say, it
smart
sounds like
people
if people
behind me.
understand how important this is, it's a no-brainer, right? Okay, so
For
let's
sure.
talk about just you personally. What leadership lessons have you learned? You've found your way and moved up into a CRO position, obviously a really big, even though it's multifaceted and you're showing up doing whatever needs to be done, you definitely probably have some lessons learned in the industry. So looking back and, from a leadership standpoint, what have you learned? What can you teach us, other CROs? I think, regardless of what particular companies are there, I think about all the CROs that we work with or sales leadership that, can learn from somebody like you. So what would you say you've learned about leadership in the industry?
Yeah, there's two things. Number one is domain experience is important when you're hiring sales talent. It's not more important than
Mhm.
character because yeah, this is a very technical space. Everyone sells to the same stakeholder. You could be a complete like domain wizard if you're not the right person with the right character and you have the ability to make something extremely technical like so simple that someone in elementary school can understand it, then you're
Mhm.
not going to close deals. You really need to focus on the people that are extremely intelligent, regardless of sector, and have the ability to
Mhm.
really simplify
Mhm.
complex key terms. And the second thing is we're a completely bootstrapped business, and that was new for me. So just learning how to forecast revenue numbers when you're dealing with resource allocation and
Right.
resource constraints, that was like we don't have venture money that we're just letting on fire to grow. Like we're doing this very strategically, very clear. So you have to really like
Yeah.
weight your revenue targets a little bit more accurately, and just understanding that took me some time
In
to
my
get,
case,
but
as a
that was a
leader,
really good
it's
lesson.
how I communicate growth to a larger team cautiously, right? I think that's part of it too, is like,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm in the same boat. Like we're not, I'm not getting big investment capital. We're doing this in a very strategic way. And so for me, I think that I've also learned a lesson there is like, as excited as I am
yep,
about the future, sometimes you have to keep your cards close to the chest just and let the blessings come if they come, but also not get ahead of yourself. I've, I've learned
100%.
that. I learned
Yep. It's either like we've all been there. We have that like huge quarter. We're like, it's runaway. We're gonna be super rich. It's the end of the game, and it's
I
like,
know.
oh man, crap. That was like one quarter. Like we
In
gotta
my
like rein
case,
it
I had
back
some
in a
health
little bit.
challenges that were not anticipated last year. So you just really, but I feel like, not that this podcast is about me, but I feel like we learned kind of from a systems and processes standpoint, the business benefited so
Yeah,
much from a health setback for me because our systems and processes improved so much because to be quite honest, I was kind of out of it and we had to tighten everything up. So I think that we always look at, and especially as CRO, we always look at like growth on a spreadsheet as growth, but really growth can mean a lot of different things and can look a lot different even if it's not in numbers. So I think that's important to think about in leadership.
yeah. And I think with
Yeah.
that, if I could add, the when you're looking at that, it's really hard to quantify. You almost can't, but you look at like there's these little key wins that happen throughout the year and the day. Like you see your people just doing, at the end of the day, business is people. That's like the
Yeah.
essence of what we do. And as a coach, you need to be able to, and I look at
Yeah.
executives as coaches, you need to be able to see like the little things that happen throughout the day. Like I'm a former athlete, so it's like I played hockey and a bunch of other sports. It's like, did the player tie their shoes the right way? Did they
Right.
take their stick the right way? This is like something that came from down from John Wooden in basketball, like tying your shoes and putting your socks on right was like his like
Yeah.
key to
Yeah.
success. But you look at like the little things that happen throughout the day, and it's like, all right, our individual wrote one good email, like they found a really good vendor, like they were on a call and they said something really creative. Like you just really have to stay to get out of the spreadsheets and you have to really
Yeah.
listen to what's happening. It's almost like when you walk outside, you heard all the sounds of nature, like your business has all those sounds and you
Yeah.
have to be in tune to that. And that's the way you can feel really good about things
Yeah. And
moving in the right
I
direction
think
aside
that's
from the numbers.
important. Hearing you say that as a CRO is very encouraging because I think that sometimes when we are focused on the spreadsheet and driven by that, we have a tendency to undervalue or undercommunicate the wins or the successes. And so we get so focused on the spreadsheet that we're not, I think it's being an encourager, like you said, and being in leadership, that's a big part of keeping people motivated to show up. And
Yeah.
so I think that recognizing those wins, whatever they are, is and looking for them because sometimes when you get focused on something, you don't stop to look for them. I think that's really good. Um,
100%.
right. Okay. So what would you say if you had to describe the team culture? It sounds like you got based on who I've met. Everybody, we love working with fun people. We fired some not fun people before. So we want to. That's one thing that our team has noticed just in these last few weeks about your team is how much fun you guys are to work with. So I know that your team culture is fun, but what else would you say about open security as a team?
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. We try to just have a good time. I'm pretty lucky. Like Ryan and I were Ryan Head, who's our VP of sales, him and I are like climbing partners do this together. And we brought on people that like we just love to work with. And it's really fun when you put engineers and salespeople in the same room. You just have like the
Oh
most
yeah.
hilarious things that happen. And like our leadership conferences are just fantastic because you have like
Yeah,
elite
sure.
cyber operators and like elite salespeople, and they're just like you end up having these crazy conversations about
Ideas
like
everywhere.
how do you like sell a satellite to space or something ridiculous. I don't
Right.
know, but I would say two things really stick out is like we're independent thinkers that are aligned by a common goal, and that's to make cybersecurity and companies more resilient. And that we actually really lean into the entrepreneurship of the business. Like we encourage risk taking, whether it's professional or personal. Like we
Mhm.
have individuals that have say, "Hey, I have this like side hustle I want to work on. Like, how would I go about doing that?" And we really we're okay with that because
Yeah.
we realize that if people are happy in their personal life and they're achieving their goals, then it will make them better at work. So, and we give them the resources to do it. We help coach them through it. So we really embody that entrepreneurship spirit, not only within the business, but outside the business. And when you bring those two things together, you have a really sharp group of people that just like to have fun and do great things.
I love that. I actually worked for a CEO before I started this business who was the same way. And that's kind of where I've learned, like, I think half my team does have a side hustle. We've got, a spray tan business, a photography, like you've got the
It's
works. But
awesome. People are so afraid of it. It's like, go do it. Like
well, what
it really helps everybody.
I know, well, what it did for me personally, and again, not this podcast is not about me, but the CEO that I worked for, I was terrified because I loved him. I loved working there, but I knew that, to be quite honest, that God had something bigger and different for me, and it was my time to do something else. And so, as terrified as I was going into his office that day, his response was, "Put on paper what you need and how I can support you." I mean, he offered money, but he
That's
wasn't threatened,
amazing.
or he wasn't threatened or scared by what my spirit was to do bigger things and different things. And he is still one of my best friends. He is a client. So it's all worked out, and he's been a big mentor for me. But I just love anyone who's not scared or threatened by anyone else's success and can look at it as, just because someone else has success in an area that you want, it doesn't mean you're not going to get it, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it's just the mindset of being open to helping other people achieve their dreams. I think only makes us, move forward. So I think that's great. What a
Yeah,
great thing to
that's
say
awesome.
about your culture. So
Good
in
to hear.
that spirit, what advice would you give to other professionals or entrepreneurs in this space or not in this space? What would you say as a leader? If you were to impart one piece of wisdom, what would that be?
It sounds so cliche, just simplicity. Like every business is complicated to its own degree. And the more simple you can make your life, the more simple you can make your process and your strategy and your sales messaging. Like there is an obvious, if there is a problem out there that needs a solution, go find it, build the solution, and don't just stop there. Explain how that solution benefits the person buying your product. Like really tell that story. Like really explain the difference they're going to feel after the problem is solved.
Mhm.
And that's just simplicity and just keep it simple. It's
Yes.
like it sounds so dumb sometimes, but it is so true.
Yeah, we do, especially in technology, we overcomplicate things.
So hard though. It's so hard. It's
I
so hard. It's like it can be impossible sometimes, and you just the
know.
simple is good.
You saying engineers and sales getting together. The words that I used to dread when I worked for a utility technology company was an engineer saying, "What would be really cool is if dot dot dot," and then all chasing squirrels to try to
Yep.
create the next thing when we need to stick to the product that we have. So, just as we close, is there any
Percent.
is there any lesson that you wished you had learned sooner?
Ooh, there are so many. I actually this is the one I have been thinking about this all night actually, and
Okay.
there are I I really think it comes down to like so we work in a remote business
Hmm.
and we actually just talked about this. This is just one of the lessons and it's it looks so easy on a
Mm,
spreadsheet, and in reality, it's
right.
not easy. It is so hard and so difficult, and every number you put into a forecast can look really, really good, but that number can look really, really good because you want it to look really, really good. There is intense unconscious bias about how you want your revenues to look at the end of the year and how you want your bottom line to look. But in reality, it's extremely hard. And I've always worked in larger companies where I've had
Mm,
tremendous support in different functions. It's really different when you have equity in the company and you're leading a department and you're building a small business, and it's like it it's really being an owner and thinking like an owner is something I wish I understood a little bit sooner. And I'm really grateful because guys like Michael and Matt and my team, they've been able to like guide me through that process. And just knowing like what I signed up for, I'm super happy. At the same time, I'm kind of like sometimes I'm like, oh shit, this is
right,
hard.
right.
So
Yeah, yeah, it is. I think that's a good, but it's good to to understand that as you're creating the projections and as you're looking into the future, knowing
mhm.
that, it may not look like this and that's okay. Well, okay, if somebody was like this,
Everything looks
that's
good on
right, that's
paper,
right.
but it's totally
If
different.
somebody was interested in checking out Open Security, where would they go?
Yeah, it's a good question. Go to opensecurity.io. You can find us there. And then we're on LinkedIn. We're actually building up our social
Yep.
media presence. You can find a couple of our founders, Michael Pleasant and Matt Toussaint. They're on LinkedIn. Josh Chrisman, Bryce Sicaro, they're all there. They're more on the engineering side. Matt has a lot of videos on the technical side of cybersecurity, so they're worth checking out. And then, yeah, just find us on our website and feel free to reach out at kyle@opensecurity.io. And I'm happy to talk to you guys if
Love
you have
it.
any
Well, thank you
questions.
so much, Kyle. We'll make sure we put all the contact info in the show notes so people are watching, they're able
Okay.
to see that. And thank you for sharing just kind of both the good, the bad, and the ugly. I love that. I think that's an important part of entrepreneurship and business. So I appreciate you being on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fantastic. I really enjoyed this, and it's been awesome working with you and your team. So
We've
thank you
enjoyed
for
it. We
everything.
love those fun partners. Thank you. So, those of you listening,
Yeah.
please be sure if you want to hear more from Kyle and other entrepreneurs like Kyle, be sure to follow and subscribe the No Grow Skill podcast. Thanks so much for joining today.